So guys, we are going to continue the discussion with respect to statistics, and in this topic, we are going to discuss about random variables. Now, random variables are quite important if you are probably learning machine learning and deep learning, if you're working with data itself. So if I talk about random variables are given by the notation as capital X, which is this kind of notation. But before going to understand what exactly is random variable, let's consider some of the equation. Suppose if I write some equation as 5 is equal to x plus 5, sorry, y is equal to 5x plus 2. In this scenario, you can say that if I really want to find out y, I can definitely use different values with respect to x. Suppose if I use x is equal to 1, then what will happen? 5 will actually become, y will actually become 7. Similarly, if I use x is equal to 2, x is equal to 3, I may get different y values. Okay, so that basically means x is just like a random variable which can take different values altogether. Now it is very much important what exactly, because this is a process, right? This is a kind of equation we have taken, and we can actually assign different x values to get the y value. Similarly, if I really want to discuss about random variables, I will say that random variable is a function whose values are derived from different process or experiments. Okay, so if I want to tell you a very good example, let's go ahead and try to see one basic example. Suppose I will be defining that, okay, here x is my random variable, and I will define that this is nothing but tossing of a coin. So here I'm actually defining a process or an experiment which I say as tossing a coin. And when I toss a coin, what are the different possibilities if I'm actually tossing a coin? It is either head or tails, right? Now this is my random process. Every time I toss a coin, I may either get head or tails. Now based on this head or tails, I can derive some values. I can assign some values. Okay. So here I'm assigning, if it comes as head, I'm going to assign as 0. If I actually if tails are actually coming from that particular toss, then I can assign it as 1. Okay, so this is the entire function from which we are deriving values, or we are assigning some values through some process or experiments. So this is what random variable is. Now this is just one kind of experiment. Suppose if I take another experiment, let's consider that I have another experiment which is nothing but rolling a fair dice, right? Rolling a fair dice. Now inside this particular option, what are the different values that I can see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So 6 different values are possible when we are actually rolling a fair dice. And remember, this most of the possibilities in this particular case, right? Specifically, if you are considering categorical variables, like tossing a coin has the outcomes as heads and tails, rolling a fair dice has the outcomes as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So here, from this kind of processes, we are getting some kind of value. This you really need to understand. Okay, and if I consider what are the different types of random values or random variables, so what are the different types of random variables? So to define it, guys, we basically have two different types. One is discrete random variable, and the other one is something called as continuous random variable. Okay, so if I want to talk about some of the examples, right, let's consider with respect to, first of all, discrete random variable. So I have given you two different examples. One is tossing a coin, right, rolling a dice. Okay, these two are a very simple examples which you can actually understand. Suppose if I take the continuous random variable, suppose I have an experiment or process which says that, okay, tomorrow, let's consider tomorrow, how many inches it is going to rain. Suppose if I take this specific example, Okay, this is a process. And why I'm specifically saying as a continuous random variable? Because out of this particular process, tomorrow it can rain around 1.1 inches, it can rain around 5.5 inches, it can rain around 10.5 inches, it can rain around 10.75 inches. So there is no such specific value. It can have any value. Let it be a whole number, let it be a fraction, let it be any kind of things, and it can be infinite also. Obviously it will be starting from 0. Okay, because negative values cannot be assigned to this kind of process because it will be of no use. Yes, there are some of the experiments where negative values can be assigned, which we'll discuss later on, but just understand over here, based on this particular process, these are the different random values that I can actually get, I may probably get. And for this, both the experiments, we can also define different probability density function. So in short, if you really want to understand what exactly is a random variable, you can just say that it is a function which defines its values through some process or experiments. Okay, very simple. Such an example over here that we have seen, like tossing a coin. If I'm tossing a coin, I'm getting heads or tail. Based on this heads or tail, I'm getting 0 and 1. If I roll a fair dice, what are the different possibilities that I may get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is another one, right? This example that I'm actually saying is basically of a discrete random variable. Similarly, the other type of random variable is something called as continuous random variable. One example that I have shown you is that tomorrow, how many inches it is going to rain. Okay, basically rainfall can be calculated with respect to various units. Here I have just taken inches, right? So one more experiment can be that tomorrow, let's consider that height of the people attending the event tomorrow, attending the events tomorrow. Okay, this is one another amazing example which we can consider. Over here, I can definitely get different values. Like if I'm considering the height, I may get 150 centimeters, I may get 160 centimeters, I may get 160.1 centimeters. I can get different values altogether. So in continuous, you may get a fraction number, you may also get a whole number, you may be getting any kind of number that can be coming over here. In a discrete random variable, I will basically be deriving a whole number from a random process. So at usual, like if you are considering a process, you are able to define a specific value for that specific process. So in short, random variable, and yes, you may be thinking, okay, why we don't say it as a variable? Because here all the values, yes, we can say it as a random variable itself. It is also a kind of variable, but it is more of a function which derives its values from process or experiments. So we'll continue this particular session and discuss more about the probability density function or probability distributive function of this discrete random and continuous random variable in our next session.